everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Literally What? Happy weekend. And we are finally here with the Literally What cat, Mr. Waffles. He has made his appearance. If you watched any of the episodes at my other studio in Florida, he made his appearance pretty much every single episode. And I don't know why he's been so shy this time around, but he's here. He's ready to go. He got all of my equipment set up for me. He is amazing. And he works for free because I literally give him food and a roof over his cute little head. So anyway, we are back with another episode, and happy May. Oh my gosh. One of my favorite months. I think May it's like the month of events. I feel like anyone who is planning a big event, it's always in May. It's just like the perfect time to start seeing your people, especially like when I was back, college, high school, all of that. It's kind of the month where school is getting out. Everyone's kind of getting back to their routine and their hometown. Everyone's just kind of back in the same place. And it's always just like a fun month to kind of get together with people. So I have a booked and busy month of May, and I'm not complaining because I get to see all of my people. But a lot of fun things coming up. We also have a lot of fun things just like pop culture and like entertainment and just like in general wise. I know like Derby Days has started this weekend. The Met Gala is coming up. I think it's on Sunday or Monday, which is always super exciting because I love looking at all of the rich people's outfits and judging them, even though I literally would never even be at a Met Gala and could never afford, a 10% portion of the price of their outfits, but it's still fun. Okay. Like they put them on for us to judge. Like, let's be real. That's what they're there for. What else? Cinco de Mayo is coming up next week. I'm gonna get a big margarita with my friends. So a lot of fun things. Also, if you are listening to this and you maybe are like, I don't know, graduating in the next couple of weeks, happy graduation. You did it. Oh my gosh, so exciting. That's always such fun stuff. Or if you're just like in school and like you're about to get out on summer break, congrats to you for that as well. That's always super exciting. So I think that's everything I had to rant about. This is your first time here. Welcome. This is your weekly podcast where pop culture, true crime, and internet chaos will have you saying literally what. I always like to do some housekeeping at the beginning of the episode, just so you know like where to find me. But I'm podcast literally what on Instagram, on the TikTok. If you want to email me, it's podcastliterallywhat@gmail.com. On the Instagram, I pretty much just like post clips sometimes. I post like any announcements or anything regarding the podcast are always on Instagram. And then if you go follow like the TikTok, subscribe on YouTube, I do post a lot more like clips and stuff that are more fun because honestly, like posting a ton of reels on Instagram is so scary. Posting on Instagram in general is terrifying, not just like for my podcast, but even my personal Instagram. I mean, it takes a lot for me to post on my personal Instagram. And even then it's just never good posting on Instagram anymore because, when I was first on Instagram in like middle and high school, I was getting hundreds of likes and comments. And now it's like, congrats, you got more than 10 likes. Yay. And it's just like a weird, I don't know, the app's kind of weird now. I feel like I never even see my friends post anymore, and I don't even want to post anymore. It's more so just an app that's like there that maybe I'll sometimes scroll if I'm bored of TikTok for whatever reason, and then I scroll on Instagram for about 10 seconds, jump right back into TikTok. So anyway, if you want to follow the Instagram, that's just where like any announcements will be. But I am pretty active on TikTok, and I'm getting more active on YouTube Shorts. I finally started posting YouTube Shorts, so go me getting with the times. And then if you are watching this on YouTube, hi, thank you so much. Make sure you're subscribed, you like the video if you do like it. And then if you're just listening to Spotify, Apple, wherever, give it some 5 stars if you want to. And yeah, everything is always linked in like my link tree and description boxes. If you're listening to this, there's going to be a link where there's another million links so that you can just kind of find everything. But yeah, I think that's everything. So let's go ahead and get into all of the pop culture, true crime, and internet chaos. I'll have you saying literally what? Okay, so the literally what moment of the week, I was kind of struggling with picking because this week, I don't know why, was just like a slow week for just everything in general. And I didn't know what I wanted to talk about for the big thing because I was thinking about like there were a lot of somewhat big stories that have been progressing over time. Like obviously Katy Perry's tour, we already talked about that. So like, I don't want to make that a whole big thing. There's some other stories that like kind of fit between like my literally what moment of the week and also like just like what's going viral. But I finally decided to pick this particular story because it, I think, is such a crazy story that I didn't even watch anything that had to do with it. I gathered all this information just from like being on my phone, and so many people are talking about it, and it has been developing for a long time. And now it's, I think, exploded, and like the situation's like basically over. But now that everything is out in the air, we have to talk about everything because it's kind of crazy. And the literally what moment of the week, believe it or not, I don't like talking about her, but it is JoJo SIWA and her whole Big Brother scandal, her breakup with her partner, and her now what the heck's going on with this other guy. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss with this. So JoJo SIWA went on Celebrity Big Brother that was filmed in the UK. I have never seen Big Brother, which is kind of surprising because I love The Traitors, and a lot of the contestants on The Traitors are on Big Brother. And I also love Survivor. And I think Big Brother it's kind of like a game show, but you have like people and you like vote people out, I'm assuming. I don't know anything about it. But I was getting served so much content from Big Brother, and specifically JoJo SIWA, because a lot was going down in the house. Now, from my perspective, when I was watching all of these videos about her, again, I don't know exactly what was going down, but I was seeing these videos of her with Chris Hughes, a guy, on the show with her, and they were basically just getting really close, really touchy, really flirty. And I just assumed, because she came out as being a lesbian and then she was dating all girls. So when I was seeing these clips of her on Big Brother with this guy, I was like, okay, thinking nothing of it. And then I was like, wait, maybe she's like into this guy. But then the big reveal, the big thing is that she was dating someone already. She had a partner while she was on the show. And so a lot came out. It was kind of crazy. And I can't believe that, like, basically JoJo was like cheating like on live TV, and everyone was just watching it. And now like she's out of the show, and her partner have broken up because obviously, like, duh, but there was a lot that was going on. So basically she gets off the show, and now JoJo's facing a lot of criticism because her ex-partner, who was an Australian influencer named Kath, she was accusing JoJo of emotionally cheating on her and then ending their relationship at the Celebrity Big Brother after party. So not only does her partner have to see her doing these crazy things and like cheating on her with this guy on live TV, but then she goes to the Celebrity Big Brother after show and gets broken up with. What? I couldn't believe that this was like actually a thing. I was more shocked that she had a partner than like she was going after a guy when she previously had only dated girls. So the basically the show is they like live in a house together, and she just formed this really close bond with Chris Hughes. He used to be on Love Island as well, and it just kept getting worse and worse. Like all of the clips of them, it was very odd and very strange. And so a lot of headlines were coming out about her and just like JoJo's sexuality and like what the heck is going on and what's happening, and is she still dating her partner? And so then she basically told everyone, I think I just like love everyone and I don't have a label or whatever. Like I'm not just a lesbian. So that was a whole thing that I guess she discovered about herself. But I just think the crazy part is that she had a partner and she was like doing this to her partner on live TV. And like, I feel so bad. And then like the partner showing up the after party and literally getting broken up with. So that happened. They are broken up, but then JoJo and Chris have been doing a lot of obviously interviews and just stuff like that after they came off of the show. And you know, he's saying that they're just very close friends. Like they're still saying that nothing's going on between them, that, you know, they're not a thing. But I mean, just for me watching these few TikTok clips, yeah, you can't watch those clips and then see that JoJo broke up with her partner and then just think that nothing's going on between them. Like, that's kind of crazy. So that was kind of insane that she was doing all of this, being filmed. Like, Big Brother, you are filmed the whole time, like 24 hours you're in a house together. So that was kind of crazy, and they're still just saying they're friends, and maybe they'll give it time to like sizzle down and then be like a couple. I don't know, you guys, but it was kind of weird. And again, I've never even seen the show, and I got like all of this just from like being on my phone because it was so heavily talked about. But there you go, JoJo. Okay. Next, we're going to hop into the viral vortex, because this is something that went very, very viral recently, and we have to talk about it because Bill Belichick's girlfriend shuts down the question about their relationship. So this was very, very crazy. Bill Belichick did a CBS interview, and it raised a lot of questions at the end of the interview on his and her relationship, not just on the age difference, but about how they're both being treated in this relationship. So she is in her 20s. He obviously is way older. So you know, that always gets people talking. But he was sitting in the chair doing this interview, and about like 6 minutes into the interview, they were doing like a little behind the scenes, and someone was saying that like Jordan, who is Bill Belichick's girlfriend, was a constant presence during our interview. Okay. And so then the interview shoots to her just kind of sitting right by the monitor, like a few feet away. And she just kind of had like that resting bitch face. And then they said, when they were interviewing Bill, you have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. And the camera was still on her off the set. And then they said, how did you guys meet? So before we continue the story, like, I feel like if someone's doing an interview and your girlfriend is there and you're heavily talked about, I think it's going to be kind of like known that, yeah, they're probably going to try to ask a question about that, especially when she's sitting like a few feet away from us and people don't know how they met. So they asked the question, and then she loudly blurts out before Bill can say anything, we're not talking about this. She literally, like, in the video is standing up, we're not talking about this. And everyone's kind of like, what the heck is going on? Because that's like kind of crazy. I feel like during interviews, you don't see people all of a sudden interrupting the interview. Like, that's kind of crazy. And yeah, apparently, like, in general, when Bill has done interviews in his like years and years of like being coach and all that, he's known for giving like snarky answers to questions and just like being really good at being in the front seat, like in the interviews. And like, so I think people were kind of like, what the heck's going on, when she was kind of like being controlling in this interview. And so that was like just really, 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 really weird. So that all went viral, her video interrupting. And then he came out and basically said that he went into his interview assuming that they were just going to be talking about a book that he just came out with, and they weren't going to talk about anything personal. And so that's why she came in and said that. But I think it also begs the question of, why can we not know how they met? There are tons of rumors online, and you know, after he did say that, CBS came out and was like, there was nothing off limits. Like, we were not told that there were any limits to this conversation. So it's not like they went in ahead of the interview and was like, you're not allowed to ask about our relationship. And she was, again, sitting a few feet from him. Like, they're going to ask about their relationship. So a lot of things are going around that maybe they don't want to know how they met because she was like an escort, or she like worked on some like private plane. He met her there, or it was just like, however they met. The fact that they couldn't just like tell a little white lie just to kind of like, yeah, we met like this, and the fact that it's so secretive, I think is very, very interesting. And yeah, I don't know, like, why wouldn't they expect to be asked a question about their relationship? So anyway, that happened. If you haven't seen the clip, you have to go watch the clip, because yeah, it's kind of weird. But anyway, that's our little viral moment of the week, because that is definitely going viral, and it's kind of crazy. So we're going to go into our stop scrolling. These are just moments and stories that when I was scrolling on my phone, it had me stop scrolling. And the first one is really close to my heart, you guys, because BJ Novak is now dating someone. And it's not Mindy Kaling in my heart. Part of me always thinks in the back of my head that they are secretly married and their kids are like each other's and like they're perfect and happy. I know that's probably not the truth, but BJ Novak and DELANEY ROWE are now dating. If you are not an avid TikToker, DELANEY is basically like a big content creator comedian. She does a lot of just like skits that she writes herself and acts out, a lot of just like making fun of rom-coms, and it's just really funny skits. So it does make a lot of sense when I heard who he was dating. It's very much in his wheelhouse of like, you know, funny, because obviously he wrote a lot of The Office. But there have been months of speculation, and People magazine finally confirmed that the 45-year-old actor is dating 29-year-old TikTok star DELANEY ROWE. Now, like, yes, it's a pretty big age gap, but like, it's not the craziest we've ever seen. Like, I feel like it could work. But they were spotted all the way since last December in New York together. And so there's obviously been rumors and rumors and rumors. But yeah, so she basically just came up into fame through TikTok. She used to be a ballerina, and she definitely wants to be an actress, which I think is interesting that she is now dating someone who is very into, you know, acting and all of that. But yeah, now she's just a TikToker. She makes a lot of videos. I think she has like over 3 million followers. Like, she does very, very well. But then it's also like, I wonder how they both met, because I feel like you don't hear about people meeting TikTokers and dating them. I see that a lot more with like Bachelor Nation people. Like, I feel like a lot of people who are on The Bachelor and stuff like that date famous TikTokers, like Kat Stickler. That was a whole thing. But yeah, like, I can see this working, because obviously he is a very funny comedic writer. He wrote for The Office, and she obviously writes comedy skits for her TikTok videos. So I can see the pair having a lot in common. I can see them getting along very well, but it's not Mindy Kaling. So I don't know why they're not together yet. Like, this is something that I will think about the rest of my life. And I forget when it was, maybe like a month or so ago, when they were together at the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame. Like, they just need to do us all a favor who are fans of them and get married. If they're not already married, and this is just a front, because... But then it's like, why would they be hiding it? Because they dated like on and off in like the early 2000s, and now just claim that they're best friends and stuff, and he's like a godfather or like uncle to her children, but like, we still don't even know who the father of her children are. So like, it's fine. It's fine. Guys, it's really fine that he's not dating Mindy and he's dating someone else. Like, he's allowed to do that. No, he's not. Okay, our next story is one of my favorite things to talk about, and that is old Disney Channel actors and actresses. But Emily Osment and more have reacted to Nick Jonas comparing Disney Channel games to Love Island on crack. Now, I don't know about you, but in what universe would someone watch the Disney Channel games and assume it's like Love Island on crack? There's just no way. Where did he come up with this? So this happened a little over a year ago, where Nick infamously compared Disney Channel games to Love Island on crack. And a lot of people have finally come out and shared their perspectives on this, because it just like makes no sense. Like, where would you even come up with that comparison? So basically, Emily Osment came out on an Instagram post and said, "It was mostly just sweating and riding the rock and roller coaster for me, dog." And then Lucas Gabriel, who played Ryan in High School Musical, he said that the primary memory of the summer series was the heat. He said, all I remember was that it was hot and that I wanted to be one of the adults commentating at the games instead of competing. But then you have Nick, who, if you guys remember, he dated both Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez, which good for him. But he apparently had a whole different memory of the games and what was happening and just thought it was like Love Island. So this is a quote, and it says, the Disney Channel games were basically the Olympics, but where they would bring in 100-ish Disney Channel stars from all over the world. We would compete in silly games. Nick, who along with brothers Kevin and Joe, starred in several Disney franchises, blah, 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 blah. And they would basically put a bunch of teenagers in the Disney park after hours and just say, let's see what happens. And then Nick's hot take, you know, has gone around the whole entire Disney Channel alum and everyone there. And so after that metaphor, Dylan Sprouse, he also was expressing his surprise towards that comparison. And he said, that's a really weird take, honestly. The Disney Channel games were nothing like that. You can't compare any situation where it's like 90% 14-year-olds to a show like Love Island. And then Jason Earl, who, you know, Jackson Rod Stewart, he gave Nick the benefit of the doubt and said, I think it depends on who you are. If you're Nick Jonas, isn't the world a big sweaty sex buffet? And if you're like me or a Sprouse twin back in the day, we're just sweaty and we're playing games. I think the Disney Channel games was whatever you wanted to make of it. So yeah, I mean, if you look at it, like, yes, Nick Jonas was a heartthrob, dating everyone. Everyone was obsessed with him, even though I was team Jonas, Joe Jonas. He was my favorite. I was not a Nick girl. I was a Joe girl. But like, I guess technically he might have thought of that as like a Love Island, like him with all of the girls and stuff. And that was his main focus, while some of the other guys and girls probably weren't focusing on like all the other guys or girls and like crushing on them or whatever was going on. But then it's like, I think back to when I was that age, and if I was like in a theme park or if I was with like a ton of like guys, I would probably be like, oh yeah, like he's totally into me, or like, oh, which one has a crush on me, or, you know, I don't know. So I think it does depend on who you are. And he definitely probably does think it was like Love Island, because that was his focus. His focus was like on all of the girls, and everyone else is probably just trying to win or like get out of the freaking heat and stop sweating so much. But I just thought that was really funny. And also just so funny that so many people have come out now way later and been like, no, Nick, that's like actually a really, really, really weird take. So yeah, that was really funny. And kind of had me stop scrolling, because if it has to do with anyone from Disney Channel, yeah, I'm there. Okay, so our last little stop scrolling moment is the Valley came out with their reunion seating chart. So for all of you Bravo fans and for all of you who are not Bravo fans, whenever they do a oh my gosh, what is it called? Reunion show. It's basically where after they're filming, they all get together, film a reunion with Andy, and like just rehash everything. And you know, after they've rewatched the show, and they just kind of like rehash the season and like see where everyone is in that moment. And most of the time everyone's like kind of mad at each other, but they always like to announce the seating chart. And so it's basically Andy at the top, and then you have seats on either side. Whoever's closest to Andy is like who's gonna get talked to the most and who's gonna get the most screen time and who is like most important, and whoever's at the bottom is just like whatever, like we don't care about you. So the Valley one finally came out, and if you guys remember, the Valley season 1 did not have a reunion, and I so wish they did, but season 2 is having a reunion. I'm so excited about it because, oh my gosh, I've only seen 3 episodes, and this is a crazy season. Like, even if you guys have never seen a Bravo show, like start watching the Valley, because it's so crazy. It is so crazy. So if you don't watch the Valley, this won't make any sense to you, but if you do, you'll appreciate it. And the seating chart is kind of crazy because, first of all, next to Andy is obviously Brittany and Jax. They are, of course, the main talk of the show. Obviously, Jax is trying to get his life back together. He just recently came out and said he was addicted to cocaine, and him and Brittany are getting divorced. So obviously they are at the top. But then next we have Jesse, and his ex-wife, Michelle, is not across from him, closest to Andy. She is all the way at the bottom, okay? If you are the last person sitting at a reunion, that's like actually kind of crazy. Like, And she used to be like a main person. So I do not think she will be coming back next season. And something must have happened, because that is so crazy. Because every other couple is like together, even if you're like divorced or whatever. But she is at the very bottom, across from Zach, who gets like the least screen time. But then we have Kristen and Luke. And then we have Janet, her husband, which I literally cannot stand Janet to save my life. But yeah, this is like crazy that Michelle is at the bottom, because everyone else is like, it's in normal pecking order, and then you just have Michelle at the bottom, and it's like, what the heck happened? So I cannot wait for this reunion, and it's gonna be crazy because so much has happened. It's like literally 3 episodes in, and it is such a good show, because it's like, you don't expect it to be as crazy as it is, because when they first announced it, it was supposed to be just like all of these married people leaving just like LA, moving out more with their families, settling down. Now all of them, or half of them, are like divorced and like a mess. And it's good TV. It's really great TV. So excited for that reunion for sure. Okay, we're gonna really quickly go into my obsessed or over it section. I didn't have anything like that was as amazing, and you know, I felt very strongly about last week's over it's, and I still have not really used a cart. So we're figuring that out. And I was trying to rack my brain, because if I think of something and I don't write it down immediately, it's gone forever. And I had a really good obsessed out the window. So it might come back to me next week. So this week is not as strong. So I'm warning you guys, but next week I'm coming in way stronger. Okay. So don't worry about that. But my obsessed, okay, cheesecake pieces from a fast food place. Hear me out. I am not like the biggest sweets person, okay? But my husband and I have recently been getting into these like sweet treats on the weekends. And, you know, sometimes you need a good sweet treat. And dairy just like doesn't like me. I don't like dairy. And so I used to just get like a little ice cream thing with cheesecake pieces, because for some reason, like cheesecake pieces from anywhere are so good. And I would rather have that over just like cheesecake. It tastes way better. I don't know why. Kind of like mini M&Ms. And so we went to this restaurant that we normally go to, and I was like, I really don't want the ice cream. Like, I really just want like cheesecake pieces. Like, I wish I could just get cheesecake pieces. And so my husband literally looks at the worker and was like, can she just get like a big cup? Like, is there any way you do like a big cup of cheesecake pieces? And they're like, yeah, sure. 70 cents, you guys. And I got the biggest thing of cheesecake pieces. It lasted me like 2 to 3 days. It was amazing and so good. So, you know, don't be afraid to ask. I'm afraid to ask because I have like social anxiety, but like other than that, yeah, it was great. And then my over it, this is kind of like, again, like weather, like outside boring stuff, but like mosquitoes, I can't. And like my dog doesn't like going outside unless I go outside with her. But like there were just like 10 mosquitoes on me, like biting me and stuff. And I was like, I must have the blood type because it's so bad. So we need to like spray out there. And I love being outside more than anything, but it hurts. And then it's like I'm scratching all day and they're like everywhere and I just can't. So I'm over it. Yeah, I told you guys, these are like boring. This was a boring one this week, but next week's going to be really good, I promise. All right, so let's jump into our screen time. Our first one is about my favorite Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian. And she announced a new, very excellent Kardashians Hulu spinoff called Calabasas Behind the Gates. I am so excited for this. So Khloe Kardashian and Scott Disick appeared together at Hulu's inaugural Get Real House on Tuesday, April 22nd. And she revealed some major news coming to the network. And they are going to be doing Calabasas Behind the Gates. And they're going to be telling the story of those closest to the famous family, such as friends and neighbors. And so they basically said, we all want to know what's happening behind the gates of Calabasas. Who are all these people in the extended lives of the Kardashians? So we're developing a show that we're actually, at least for now, calling Calabasas Behind the Gates. Now, we don't know if her relatives are going to be involved in this or if Scott Disick's going to be in it or what it's going to be about. But Khloe does kind of hope that Rob Kardashian will also be coming back. So we don't really know what we're going to be seeing with this, but I think this is a really, really good idea. Because like, I find it interesting who lives around like these famous people and what they do and what their lives are about. It's kind of like Real Housewives. When they first started the OC, it was a lot of like who lives behind the gates and who, you know, what's going on and what do they do. And it's just interesting to like get a peek into people's lives. So I'm excited for that personally, but also because Chloe's my favorite one. Okay, and their last little screen time is about Desperate Housewives. They are getting a little reboot, specifically Wisteria Lane. This is not a spinoff. This is just like a reboot of Wisteria Lane, where all the Desperate Housewives ladies lived. So it's not just a rumor. Finally, it's been a rumor for a long, long time, but it is officially in the works. It's not just a nostalgia trip. It's a bold, buzzy remix of the drama that we couldn't already get enough of. So it's basically going to be a fun, sexy, dark comedy soap / mystery. And basically my favorite thing, like there's going to be a lot of drama and it's going to be really, really messy. So it's set around a group of 5 very different friends, aka just like the original Desperate Housewives, and sometimes frenemies who all live on this picture perfect cul-de-sac called Wisteria Lane. I love Wisteria Lane. Let me move there. So on the surface, all of the Wisteria neighbors living the dream, beautiful homes, gorgeous families, shiny SUVs, but behind the white picket fences and smiling Insta posts are secrets. So the reboot isn't going to like ignore the OG Desperate Housewives show. It's going to embrace its legacy, but also like updating it to today's like tone and what's going on in the world right now, like influencers, smartphones, which honestly, like even though I live in that world, it's still really weird seeing movies and shows that are being rebooted and it's like very like AI and techie and stuff. And I'm like, wait a second, I forget we live like that. I kind of like watching shows where they're not all on their iPhones and stuff like that. But I think this is going to be really, really exciting. However, there is no Mark Cherry, which he's the one that made the writing so amazing of Desperate Housewives and the storylines. But he did originally float this idea of rewriting Wisteria Lane. He loves Wisteria Lane. So I'm sure it'll still be very good. But a lot of people are upset that Mark Cherry is not going to be a part of that. But anyway, that is our little screen time. And let's see, what else do I have for you guys? Okay, we'll do our little deep dive. This, like, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I saw like a hint of it and I was like, we have to talk about it. And it is that AI will soon be able to translate what our pets are saying. So they already know how to kind of like see what like the sperm whales are saying, and I forget what other thing it was, but apparently researchers are developing AI systems that aim to understand and interpret animal communication with their vocalizations, their body language, and facial expressions. So maybe being able to analyze dog barks to understand what they are communicating, and also like studying facial expressions in like cats, dogs, and horses to see like their emotional state. And like, yes, this is cool, but also I feel like you know your pets. Like I know my dog and cat, I know what they want just by the sound of like my cat will like kind of make this high pitched noise. And there's different ones, because there's ones if he's trying to go outside, and there's ones if he's hungry, but also like he will try to grab the door handle if he wants to go outside. And then like my dog, if she wants to go outside, she goes to the door. If she's hungry, she goes. Like it's easy to like kind of communicate with your dogs already. So like this can maybe be cool in general to see, but I feel like if it's your own animal, like you already know how to communicate and you already kind of know what your dogs are saying. But I mean, with AI, never say never. Like who thought we would have AI and you could talk to ChatGPT and they can tell you literally anything? Like things can get kind of crazy that you never expected to. But that is a little wrap on this week's episode of Literally What. I know like this week was kind of like slow, but we are going to have a crazy next couple months, and we have our Met Gala that we're going to be diving into that next week. I'm trying to think what else. I know there were a few other things that are coming up, but yes, thank you guys so much, as always, for hanging out with me, diving into all of the fun stuff that has us saying literally what. Make sure that you are following the podcast on Instagram and TikTok. If you're listening, 5 stars. And if you are watching, go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another video. And everything, again, is linked in the description box. And I think that's everything. So love you guys so much. And I will see you guys next week with even more that will have you saying literally what.